Why did Jesus speak in parables?
Is there a question that's bothering you? What should we do if you haven't a clue? Ask Tim!
Parables and stories had been used for hundreds of years before Jesus showed up to teach everything from abstract concepts through to good manners and nice morals. Perhaps the most famous parables of this type came from ancient Greece. So you had Aesop's fables, short stories with a clear moral point. So there's one about a man and a donkey going down the side of a mountain. The donkey's leading the way and he comes to a cliff edge and he thinks the quickest way to get to the bottom would be just to, well, jump off. The man suggests this may not be the wisest approach for all sorts of reason, but the donkey disagrees. The man pulls on the rope and tries to persuade the donkey this is a bad idea, but the donkey gets really annoyed and accuses the man of cramping his style, so the man lets go of the rope. The clear moral point being those who are stubborn and don't heed wise advice are not going anywhere good. I should say Aesop's fables are not always particularly nice. Jesus' parables are sometimes seen to be like this, clever stories that he told to make the point that we should all be nicer, better people. But this understanding doesn't fit well with almost all the parables that Jesus told. So why did Jesus speak in parables and what were they about? Well, as to why Jesus tells his disciples that part of the reason is to hide the good news that he has come to teach. What? Why would Jesus want to hide or conceal the truths that he had come to share with people? Well, perhaps we should answer the second part of our question first. What are Jesus' parables actually about? Well, they're not about abstract religious ideas or moral ideals. They are about him, his mission and his kingdom. The parables are pictures of who Jesus is and what he has come to do. People had been waiting and waiting for a king to arrive, one who would get rid of the Romans who had conquered the land. The people were waiting for a king who would get rid of the enemy, who would lead them into battle, who would get rid of their oppressors. The parables announced that Jesus and his small movement of men and women was God's kingdom arriving. The kingdom that Jesus went about announcing was different from anything that anybody expected. So different, in fact, that for Jesus to announce it directly would probably lead to people being very angry and dangerously disappointed. But even though Jesus' kingdom didn't look how anyone expected it to look, he was still claiming to be a king bringing about a new kingdom, and this was the sort of thing that would really annoy those who were in power. In fact, if the Romans got wind of it, they would almost certainly kill him. So Jesus spoke in parables, at least in part, to buy himself time. It was a bit like using a secret code. So for lots of people listening, the parables were primarily stories. Funny or clever stories that made you think a bit. But those who spent time with Jesus were given the keys to begin to crack the code. Jesus would sit down with his disciples and explain the parables to them. Even to this close group, the kingdom Jesus spoke of must have seemed very strange, a long way from the kind of kingdom that they thought they were signing up for. But bit by bit they began to get the picture, or get the parable, if you see what I mean. So to some, Jesus spoke in parables to conceal, but to others, those who have ears to hear, these stories speak of the ways in which God is at work in the world from a whole new perspective. A perspective which is open to all who come to Jesus and receive his good news.
Is there a question that's bothering you? What should we do if you haven't a clue? Ask Tim!